Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Crisis Currency Roundtable. Welcome. If you've been following us, we've been doing this it will make us 12 weeks. My name is Larvetta Lofton, and I am the founder of the L3 Agency. We have just been having such a great time with these episodes, and we are going to talk about the state of Black business today. Who I have as our guest is just, you're in for a treat. I say that every week, but you really are in for a treat because I get to bring advocates who are advancing Black businesses, both locally and nationally, and that's important. Before that I introduce them, I just want to make sure that you can join us, subscribe to the channel, Larvetta Lofton on YouTube. You can hear more episodes. We've had everything from the SBA financing to storytelling, how to tell your business story, Black men's health, Black music and culture. So we have been doing this this is our 11th week. And so next week we're doing food and culture. So please come back with us next Friday. I'm really excited. The thing that I wanted to share today, live today, is we as an agency out of Chicago are offering Chicago businesses an opportunity to have their landing page done. So how you do that is you go to our website. The L3 Agency is right there at the ticker, the L3agency.com. To the right, stand up and level up, because we want to help you level up your business. You go there, you submit your information, and we will donate our services to businesses that want to level up. So we're excited about announcing that for this Independence Day. We knew that Juneteenth was something that so many people were celebrating. So we thought this weekend, if you are home because we all are home, that you want to level up, that you will take an opportunity and submit your information. And I am excited. My whole team is excited to offer this. So we want to make sure that your online presence is going to help you grow your business and build more customers, build more followers, whatever is your goal that is important. So make sure you go to our website at the L3 Agency, go to the right, stand up, level up. There is a tab there. You submit your information. It's a very easy Google form that you submit there is some criteria. So feel free to share it with others, those who are ready to level up. We're truly excited to be able to launch that as part of COVID, as part of the racial injustice. We wanted to do something and help businesses. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Now, I want to introduce to you our guests today. I am truly blessed to have these two amazing men and thought leaders in this place of advancing Black businesses. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the state of Black businesses. So allow me to introduce, I'm going to go in order. I'm going to take Dr. Fred. I'm going to introduce you and bring you on first. I do in alphabetical order. He is the Carlton Highsmith Chair of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Quinnipiac University. Did I say it right?
You got it.
Dr. Fred, I did not want to mess it up. I did not.
Got it.
I wanted to make sure I got this right. Thank you so much for saying yes. You are, for those who are listening, you're in for a treat. Like, Dr. Fred is really the truth. Like, seriously. And I don't mean to say this, but this is a man, an Ivy Leaguer. I mean, he has worked and attended the Ivy League school. So he's in my network. I'm pretty excited about that. And so next is my buddy out of Chicago. He is our new Chicago counsel. He is certainly not new to this space, but he is new to this role. He is the president and CEO of the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. So welcome, Vincent. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Say this. So I saw Vince. I saw this. So how do you like for people to call you? Is it J Vincent? Is it which one is it?
Potato Head. No, Vince is fine. Vince is perfect.
That's fine. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody knows he is the new, for those that are in Chicago, he is our new president of the council. He's going to tell you a little bit about that. But I do want to make sure that we continuously talk about how the council is going to work. But as you know, we have a number of people coming from all over. So we know what the council from a national standpoint is, but I certainly want you to talk about it as it relates to Chicago. If you can just start off with that, Vince.
Absolutely. So thank you. Yeah, no, thank you again for this opportunity. The pleasure to meet with your audience, working with you, a minority certified business here in Chicago as well. So I thank you, and I thank the supporters that are out there. This journey for me has been an interesting one. As you know, I've been an advocate, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And so to be at this stage where I can showcase and represent minority business owners here in Chicago with our mission of getting them in front of major buyer institutions, not just those that are government contracts, is I don't want to say it's just my passion, but it's what myself and a team of individuals. I really stress that as the president and CEO, I'm not doing this alone. There's a team of individuals that works at the council that are just the strongest group of individuals to help propel, if you will, minority business owners to that next level. And that's with the resources that we provide, from certification to technical assistance to contacting and connecting them, if you will, with others in this business ecosystem. And I know, Dr. Fred, you have experience in that as well from probably, a few more years back, but you can attest to just the breadth and depth of what this type of commitment is and where we can take it. And so it's again, an honor to be able to have this conversation today and to advocate for the businesses.
Thank you, Vince. Dr. Fred, certainly want to be able to share with our audience who you are. I mean, you have been a force for this and have been helping to accelerate Black business growth for over 3 decades, right? Dr. Fred, I'm not gonna age you, so I'm just saying
just yesterday.
So I do want you to talk about your role specifically right now, but I had the pleasure for most of you all to meet Dr. Fred. He was my instructor at Tuck at Dartmouth, and so he has since moved from out of that role and over at another, what we call the mini Ivy League. That's what I hear over there, but he's still making an impact over there. So just talk about your role now over there and around technology and entrepreneurship.
Well, thank you very much. And again, I am very happy to be on the program today, and I say hello to all of your viewers. And Jay Vincent, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
I decided to move from Tuck to Quinnipiac for a couple of reasons. One, Quinnipiac's in Connecticut, right outside of New Haven, Connecticut. I was living in Connecticut at the time that I was teaching and working at Tuck in New Hampshire. So this made my commute about 3 hours shorter. But on top of that, my title is I'm the Carlton Highsmith Chair for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Carlton Highsmith was one of the largest MBEs in the country when I was the president of the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council. And Carlton, this kind of shows the ties, the connections between minority Black business and society in general. Carlton's business was in Hamden, Connecticut, the same town where Quinnipiac University is, and he was a trustee at the university. And in 2009, Mr. Highsmith sold his business. At the time, his business was doing about $200 million a year. He started it in his basement in New Haven in 1983. So he was a trustee at Quinnipiac University, and he called me up one day. Now, we stayed in contact even after I left the council, but he called me up and said, Fred, as you know, I'm a trustee here. I'd like for you to come to Quinnipiac because I have funded a chair at the university. And this is one of those things where if someone of that stature and we have that relationships asks you, you have to seriously consider it. And it was one of the best decisions I've made was to come to Quinnipiac as the Carl Highsmith Chair for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I am sure he's probably one of the few Black business owners who has funded a chair at a national university in business. And so I'm honored to be affiliated with him and the university. But this gives me a chance to sort of tie together a lot of the things that I've been doing, yes, for over 30 years, including owning businesses, selling businesses, working in the council for 15 years, teaching at Tuck and other places, and now teaching at Quinnipiac. So I'm glad to try to tie all of this stuff together.
Yeah.
And great topic today.
Yeah, and I'm grateful. I love that you said, Dr. Fred, that you had business, you had them and sold them. I like the word sold. I like the word sold because we work till we can't work anymore. That's something that we do. So and the fact that someone else invested to allow somebody else to come behind and be able to do that. So I want to talk to you about you've been at this business for so long. What do you see differently from the 3 decades to now? You've seen so much and you've helped so many. What do you see as the difference? And, how, if there's growth potential for Black businesses right now?
Well, let me start by saying I'm an optimist by nature. And so I see the glass as half full. I think that we can actually put more water in the glass. But there have been a number of challenges over the years, over the decades, and a number of changes, and many of those changes have been positive. One, I think that if you look at where Black businesses were located by industry, what you see now, a much broader distribution of Black businesses across all industries, and that's a positive sign. And so that's kind of a natural, as an economist, that's kind of a natural outgrowth of sort of economic expansion. Okay. So I am optimistic that Black entrepreneurs are trying to make it in industries that you might call non-traditional. And, if you go back 30, 40, 50 years, now you're in a period essentially of Jim Crow America. And Black businesses did not have opportunities essentially to sell to white folks, whether it be large corporations or white consumers, with a few exceptions. And so that put constraints on Black businesses. It's not to say that those constraints are totally gone, but the abilities of Black entrepreneurs to sell outside of the traditional industry has grown. So I'm optimistic about that. And that's, again, not to say that it's going to be easy. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard because, business, I don't like to use this metaphor too much, but business can be like war. And, you're competing with folks, and your competitors, they may be nice. They may smile. They may shake your hand. They may literally be interested, but they've got a higher interest. Their interest is their business. Mm-hmm. And entrepreneurs are in a highly competitive space in many of these industries. And so, we've got to up our game. So what you're doing with the website, I heard that at the start of the show, is part of that, upping your game.
Yes. And that's what we should be doing, is using this. When we built this, it was, for us, currency is about relationships, right? And so when you have relationships already in place, you're able to deal with crisis very differently. And so I want to talk a bit to Vince about really around the council, because what I didn't know is that the Chicago Council also represents Northwest Indiana and St. Louis. I didn't know that. I had no idea. So to that, can you speak a little bit about How is that? So I'm a business out of Chicago, Vince. Can I go after contracts in St. Louis?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can actually go after contracts to, nationally. It's one of the great things about being a part of the National Minority Supplier Development Council. And then, of course, having great partners and affiliates. There's 24 of us total. And like Dr. Fred mentioned earlier, when he was a part of the Connecticut, which is now called the Mid-States, we all work together, and we have some systems that we communicate through where we will share, hey, I have a client that's looking to do some work over on the East Coast. Can you recommend some certified businesses in that area that are part of, the network? And that's what's great. And I think what I'm hoping to do is, again, get out more to the community that the Chicago MSDC, again, is able to work across all 50 plus United States, as well as internationally.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
We have a minority business development agency that's a part of the council, where we have great ties with Africa.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think, in some conversations that you and I have had, Larvetta, is that many of our businesses, our Black businesses, our minority-owned businesses, have been in the service industry, right? And so what we're hoping to do is showcase that we provide all types of services, and that can be, website development services, marketing services, not just your, chicken joint or,
and again, I said this, I want to make sure that's not or, right? When we say it, it seems like we want to take them out. It's and, right?
Absolutely.
Chicken shacks, which we need, because we love to eat, right? That's our culture.
Uncle Remus's.
Right. So, and then how do we get a professional services, or how do we get corporations to see that as viable? Because sometimes they don't see that they don't see us as intellectual properties. And the one thing that I want to bring up, and I know I jumped around, but I do want to bring this back, because we know what the Black buying power is expected to be 1.54 by 2022, right? Here we are in 2020, we've got COVID and we've got racial injustice. So is that for you, Vince? Do you believe that that's going to, do you believe that number is going to grow, or do you think that number is going to decrease because of the tension we have right now, both from a health standpoint and from a racial standpoint?
That's a great question. Here's what I think about the state of economic impact and what we can do as supporters, Black business owners, minority business owners. It really comes down to a process now, similar to what you're doing with helping other businesses to pivot during these times, and you're going to help them with their website. I think that's phenomenal. I invite you to come become more engaged with the council and provide those types of services to other minority businesses, here in the Chicago market, because that is phenomenal. That's exactly what we're doing, what we want to do. I look at everything, and Dr. Fred, you may agree with this too. It's an opportunity, right? And we as entrepreneurs have to look at challenges, economic disruptions, a fire, a tornado, as an opportunity for us to grow or scale. Now, there may be some decisions that come from that, like, oh, I have to move my location from here to there because there's no way that I can rebuild right here or so. But this is what I'm looking at the COVID, pandemic right now as the opportunity for us as minority and Black businesses to really say, hey, do I want to just focus on being a brick and mortar right here in this community? Or do I want to gain access to more customers on a national, international basis?
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're at this place to do. What I'm hoping a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses are looking at now is this is the perfect opportunity to relaunch, rethink, retool, reset their entire business plan, their business model, right? And I think this is an education process too, for us to get in front of those procurement officers and major buyers that never thought about the fact that, hey, there are some Black marketing agencies that I can work with. I don't just have to go with that janitorial service or that provider of paper that I've used over the years. What about that Black, marketing agency or that Black service agency that provides, social media management and things like that, and website building from there? So it's the opportunity now to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In the past, we just didn't think about it. And, I know I've done some great things. And I think, Larvetta, you participated on the panel when we were doing the filming of the movie Boss.
Yeah.
That talks about the Black experience in business and Black Wall Street and what's happening there. And I challenge everyone that's on this call today to go to YouTube or go to any of their public broadcasting stations and preview that movie. It's phenomenal because what it does for us as entrepreneurs is provides us with that historical perspective of why we're so passionate about what it is that we're doing.
Yeah. I mean,
everything.
Yeah. And it's such a, one thing about that PBS special that what people also do, and I know you know this, Vince, was the people behind there were Black content creators. And so that's what makes it, so they were actually delivering that content. And I think that's the part that we don't see, is that we're in the forefront, but we also in the back, and we're producing on that side and making sure that these stories are being told, but you're hiring, a videographer that is a woman or a woman of color or that a person of color is making sure and demanding that is so important right now. Dr. Fred, I wanted to just ask you, I know you're an optimist and I love that. Do you believe, based on this Black buying power, do you believe, are we going to increase that number? Are we going to go from 1.54 trillion to like 3.54 trillion by 2022?
I don't know if we'll be at 3.5 in 2022. I am an optimist, but I have my feet firmly planted on the ground of reality. And this COVID economic, what I call the Trump depression, is going to be with us, unfortunately, probably through the mid part of 2021. So I think that, and I'm not alone in that. I'm not on the outside of the economic profession in terms of that kind of projection. But I think your point about the size of the Black consumer is really important. And one of the things that I tried to do when I was president of the Greater New England Council for 15 years was make that connection more directly between the Black consumer and particularly the Black supplier. I mean, there's a connection between the Black consumer and some Black retail at the neighborhood level, mostly smaller scale. What we need to do is to figure out how to strategically connect Black consumers to Black suppliers. And what I think right now you're seeing, because of the times that we're in, specifically the situation in Minneapolis and in Memphis and Nashville and in Atlanta and all over the country, is that we have the attention of corporate leaders and those in the political sector. And I think you've seen it in a number of companies. You've seen companies like Apple and Procter & Gamble and some other companies say, you know what, we have a role to play in making the American economy fairer for Black business. And this is what's new. Because again, when I was president of the council in those early 2000s through the mid 2015, the focus was not on Black business, and we kind of lost the focus on Black business. We've got the attention now, and so now is really the time to come up with some ways that we can better integrate I use that term not in the sort of social integration, but integrate Black companies into global corporate supply chains. Where the opportunity that I think Vince is talking about is. Because of COVID, corporate supply chains have been disrupted.
Yeah.
And there is an opportunity for Black businesses in a number of industries to become high quality, competitive suppliers to corporations around the country.
Yeah.
And an opportunity that I think Black entrepreneurs need to seize. But it's not going to just walk in your door. You got to get ready. You've got to be ready. You've got to have a strategy. You've got to have a lineup of who your suppliers are, who your partners.
Yeah.
And you've got to be prepared for that fight, for that battle.
And Dr. Fred, I'm so glad, because we've been, from the very start, we've been talking about preparation, right? And making sure that you are properly, designating time to set your business in the way that it is a business and not a hobby, right? And so making sure that that's happening. And I like that you said that it takes time and it's about preparation. What I do want to help shape the story for those. And again, this was something that I took the initiative to find more about councils and, having been exposed to things that I was unaware of, really helping people understand what does a supplier looks like. Because, for us, we have to have so most people, you probably don't have a capabilities, right? And so having capabilities in place, that's a 1-pager or a 2-pager about your services. Most people are just, selling off the fly. And so making sure that you have clear tactics about what you sell. So, Dr. Fred, I want to talk about supplier. What is a supplier? Because they don't know what that means. What is a supplier, and what is a prime and a subcontractor? For me, I was a subcontractor for several years, and let's be real, I made good money as a sub. So it's not that, but really helping to understand what a supplier is.
Okay, well, in business, one of the things that we know about the way modern business works is very few companies make everything that you see on the shelf. So if you go to any retail store and you pick any product, or you go to any kind of store and pick a product, it doesn't matter what it is. Chances are the name on that product was marketed by the company that's selling it, but it wasn't necessarily produced entirely by the company that was selling it.
Yes.
So everything that you see has a supply chain. It has suppliers. It has other companies that are engaged in the process of putting those products together. So, one of the corporations that was in my backyard during the council days was Sikorsky, for instance. At that time, it was owned by United Technologies Corporation. Now it's owned by Lockheed Martin. So in a Black Hawk helicopter, it's not just the company that sells the Black Hawk helicopter that makes everything. There are literally thousands of companies that are involved in the making of a helicopter, or the making of an airplane, or the making of just about anything. So my friend who I mentioned earlier, Carl Highsmith, he owned a company called Specialized Packaging Group. You probably never heard of it. It was a company that made the box that the Tide went into. So, when you bought a box of Tide, you actually were supporting Specialized Packaging Group's box. And so Carlton was a supplier, and he grew that business pretty substantially, being a supplier, being in the background. His name wasn't on the box. You wouldn't know. So suppliers, like you say, you can make a good business out of being a supplier. In fact, many of the large companies that you may know by name are also suppliers.
Yeah.
It is a supplier, okay, to some businesses. So So that's a supplier. It's a company that makes something that goes into another product. And these supply chains are very deep. The automobile industry, for instance, has a supply chain that some would argue has 10 to 12 different layers. So a supplier to a supplier to a supplier to a supplier, finally it gets into a car and you go to the dealer, or you're not even going to have dealers anymore perhaps, but you go buy your car and that car has literally thousands of different companies engaged in making that car. So that's a supplier. You call those suppliers subcontractors or contractors as well. That's a term that's also used to describe a supplier, but it's not a negative. There's plenty of money in supply chain, and that's where a lot of the money is in being a good supplier.
Thank you for saying that, because I say all the time, I tell my team that really, I mean, real talk, we're a supplier and we're okay with that. Like, I'm okay with that and being okay with that. And my name isn't on everything, and I'm okay with that, because as long as you are paying those receivables, I really don't care, right? And we can pay our staff. That's important. So Vince, for you, I want to talk about government. I mean, corporate contracting.
Absolutely.
And sure, Black owners who have professional services understand how that not government, but more so corporate contracting. Because in Chicago, what people get confused is, well, I'm certified with the Women's Business Development Center. So helping people just understand that distinction, that you all work together. But I don't think that everybody believes that, Vince. So you can, I mean, I really don't. Because I got certified with women's business. So can I do this? And so making sure that we have that discussion now. So as people are listening, they understand kind of that dual reciprocity and understand the benefit of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, one of the things that I think is important to relay to those that are certified or are thinking of getting certified, and we actually have a program that's going to be coming up here in mid-July. So if you go to our website, www.chicagomsdc.org.
I got it. It's on the Twitter. I got it.
Thank you. Yeah. And you'll be able to see some of the programming and content and events that we're having that's based around, educating more on certification, right? So to give you a brief background about that, there's local, there's federal, and then there's state that you should be certified with. Now, if you certified with the business development, that means you may be certified with a women's business enterprise, not necessarily a minority business enterprise. And then there's also veteran business, enterprise, and then there's disadvantaged business, a DBE. And so each of those are provided segments, if you will, or certifications that certain major corporations and buying institutions look to do business with. They want to support, but they don't want to just go with some fly-by-night agency, or, as there's fraud in all types of businesses, someone who's pretending to be a minority business enterprise, right? Which means that they're not certified and they may just have their wife or a minority, if you will, as the face, but they're not truly the owner, And so in cases like that, what we do at the council is we certify, we make sure that you are legitimately and actively working with a 51% minority, the real deal, right?
The real deal.
Financials are there. You mentioned the capability statement. You have the capacity. But here's what I love that you touched on earlier too, is the fact that as a prime that may bid on this contract and win this contract, now through my association and ecosystem that I have at the council, not only will I be able to provide that service to this major buyer, but now I can partner with other businesses that are, that I need to reach out to, or other suppliers, right? So now I got strength in numbers. So I can, and then it shows that we're working together collaboratively. And I got, they went for me as the prime contractor because they know me, I have the relationship, but I still want to work with others like yourself. and some other, minority enterprises that I brought in as subcontractors to help fulfill this. And we did a rock star deal. And that's what I love about the council. And then what in the direction that I want to take the organization in with the team, with individuals like yourself, with having the opportunities to talk more and educate those that are interested, because we know people want to do business right now. They want to diversify. They don't just want to hang there. I think, and Dr. Fred, you mentioned this, how many of those major providers and suppliers had to stop their business because they can no longer, import the products that they needed? Well, what I would love is if the council had the opportunity to be able to say, hey, we realize that you were often receiving those, that widget, if you will, that you needed to build that seatbelt from overseas. Well, I've got 3 suppliers locally that can help you out, and you don't have to, downsize right now or stop production. And let's keep it going there. And so, again, this opportunity to showcase what we can do, to re-educate the business case for doing business with minority, women, Black-owned businesses, it's done. It exists. The numbers are there. It's proven, but the time is now to make it right. And I think we got people in place, we've got resources, we've got organizations there. To borrow Nike's side, just do it. But you want to do it right.
So I do have. So how we see that? I see the boards. I see that now there's this advancement, and I'm going to bring this up because you actually posted it, Vince, on your LinkedIn page, and that was a Harvard review post on the 10 commitments that companies must make to advance the racial justice. But what I haven't seen yet is what is the 10 commitments that corporations must take to advance Black business growth. So I say that is what or how is the council going to hold them accountable to be able to hire minority suppliers? So we know the number with some of them, but where is the accountability going to happen? And I know that's just for Chicago and Northwest and that. But when I saw that, I was happy. But what I'm also not saying is that, all right, what about the Black businesses? What's the commitment for that?
Right. No, I love it. I love that you brought that up too, because that's one of the things that I'm a huge proponent of, is uncovering and identifying additional ways for us to make a difference, to make the impact for what we can, especially with Black and minority businesses, right? So with that, I'm looking to also start doing my own due diligence about these companies and finding out, don't jump on this Black Lives Matter agenda, if you will, and post it on your website or your social media there saying, oh yeah, we support. But darn it, if we do our own due diligence, we find out that you don't have one Black C-suite executive or no Blacks represented on your board and no Blacks in the upper management. Not only do we want to start continuing to have this voice and controlling this narrative, what we want is to have that representation there. And I don't mean just a seat filler. I mean someone that's going to speak up, have that voice, actually be an advocate, be that sponsor, be that mentor, and really make a difference. We got to do it. We got to do it. I think businesses too now are jumping, they're realizing, because we're seeing a lot of major corporations now that are pulling their ads from Facebook, right? Because they're realizing of the negative, impact that has because of number 45 doing what he's doing. I don't want to get into the political side of it because I'm an advocate for what they're doing here in the state of Illinois, and I really want them to keep, advocating for a lot of the minority and Black businesses of what we have going and making sure that legislation is inclusive. Correct. But not just, this is inclusive of the LGBT community. This is inclusive of, of all of it. Again, let's do this right. We can do it now. And we're seeing that, similar to how you pivoted your organization to be able to provide something like this to a virtual audience. Correct. I love that.
Correct.
Love it.
Because I can go out and meet for coffee and do what we do and, you know, do all the stuff we like to do. But I feel like I can still touch you guys and feel you guys. So it still is impactful. I just want to ask you, Dr. Fred, you know, because obviously, you know, I believe the more you learn, and people tell me, the more you learn, the more you earn. That's just been my motto. I come from a home, it was all about education. So that's what we did. And we can't stop educating ourselves. Is this a good time to attend these Ivy League executive education programs? Do you think that this is a good time for Black businesses to really do that right now?
I think it's always a good time to develop your professional and intellectual skills. And I think Jay Vincent hit it on the head and early when he said that, you know, you've got to use this time to retool your business, to rethink your business plan, what you're trying to do. And participating in a program like the one that I was part of at Tuck or at Northwestern or any place else, can provide great value to you if it gives you that opportunity to step back from your business. One of the main challenges that we see with Black business is Black businesses are smaller than white businesses, and they're smaller for an understandable reason. Black businesses start with less capital. Black businesses start with less capital because Black people have less wealth. And that wealth is usually in the form of home ownership, stocks and bonds, and mutual funds. But we have less of that, significantly less of that. The average white household, according to the Federal Reserve Board, has about $171,000 in net worth. The average Black household has about $17,000 in net worth, 10% of that white wealth. Well, if on average you're starting a business, you rely on your personal wealth, your friends and family's wealth. And if we have less wealth, we're going to have less capital. We're going to have smaller businesses to start with. These programs, no matter where you start, is where you end up. And so you can start small and you can become a phenomenal company. And, you know, there are some people who can do it almost naturally. They came out of the womb ready to become millionaires from starting from scratch. That's unusual. So not everybody can be a Larvetta, but if you're not, you can learn a lot from others who've experienced it, who've taught it, who know the lessons of history, business history that you can use that can catapult your business from where it is now to where you dream your business can be. And some just going to a program that gets you in the room with other entrepreneurs who look like you, who have experienced similar things that you have experienced. I mean, we've all had our knocks. We've all been knocked down. It's important to learn from others how they got up, you know, what they faced in terms of existential crises that they were confronted with, their businesses were confronted with. You know, we've all in business said, "Oh, I don't know how much longer I can do this," but you never give up, and that's what you hear when you go to a lot of these programs. Is you learn that, hey, stick in there. Somebody tells you they're supporting you. And so, yes, I do think if you can afford it, and that's really kind of almost a measure of where your business is, because if you have difficulty getting away from your business for a couple of days or a week in order to invest in yourself, then that says your business structure has a problem and you probably need to go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so glad you say that. I mean, doctor, because that's what I can't leave for a week. You know, I'm not able to invest that. But, you know, I believe, again, that when you take the time to invest in your business, you get a return on investment. I see it. And so the importance of using this time to be able to do that. And I agree. There's always, you should always, you know, find ways to innovate and learn in your business. For me, I believe in that. You know, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to get an online class because I believe in that and the importance of that. What I want to talk, Vince, is the one thing that I want to talk about a little bit, guys, is about ownership, because one of the things that I see, and I see this quite frequently because, you know, I do have a network of Black, brown, white, everything. And they speak as, for their businesses, they speak from ownership. We own our business, right? So for somebody who's looked at, you know, acquisition, at some point I have a succession plan, right? So I talk to people who have that. But this entrepreneurship lifestyle and ownership, like really talking about, you said it, Dr. Fred, about, you know, for us, it's that wealth gap. But where do we get to a place where we're owning our business? Means that we have succession plan, that we can sell our business. Like, we don't have enough examples to be able to do that. So I get it. And so, but is that something of the future that we can talk about ownership? Yes, entrepreneurship is my lifestyle for sure, but I own my business. I own these assets, these numbers. Like, what is that? And so, Dr. Fred, what do you see? Because you've seen it, right? When you get to a place when you were talking about your colleague, he owned his business, which is why he can make the chair. So at that point of entrepreneurship and this, because everybody wants to be online and be high and fly and Instagram, right? But ownership says, it sounds to me, says like, I'm not that popular in the ownership world. And I would love for you to give us some context around that.
Yeah, I mean, business is serious. It's serious work. Entrepreneurship is serious work. You don't just become successful and money just doesn't come flowing into your bank account. You gotta, again, I start with strategy. You gotta have a plan. You gotta have a plan on how you are going to capture consumers, whether those consumers be individuals or households or large corporations. You gotta have a plan. Part of that plan understands that you're not alone. You know, so I don't care what business you're in and what business you choose to be in, you got competitors. Those competitors want the same thing you want. You just got to be better at it than they are. That doesn't mean you got to win every time you go up against your competitors, but you got to win your share of the. Now, that's hard work. And that means that you may not have the time to do some things that others may have time to do. And you know this, Larvetta, and I'm gonna tell you, Vince, you're gonna find this out. You're new to the council world, 15 years in that world, and you're gonna feel like an entrepreneur. You're gonna feel, and you'll know that when you know you're doing your job right. You'll that this is not a job. This is a passion, and that's how entrepreneurs feel. Now, when things work out for an entrepreneur, you will experience success. But the reality is, every business, I don't care what business it is, or who started, or how large it is, you as the entrepreneur are not the business. In fact, the business can outlive the entrepreneur if successful. And so that's the difference between, in my view, a business and an enterprise. So if you want to build an enterprise, you're building it not just for you and your lifestyle, you're building it to last beyond you. And I used to say, like, if you shoot for the stars, you might get to the moon. Well, I believe that if you're an entrepreneur, you should be shooting for the stars. You should be shooting for a business that's going to outlive you. And then you're going to be putting in place the structure, making the relationships, you know, not burning bridges that are necessary to become successful and establish that enterprise, like my friend Carl Highsmith did, and literally thousands of other Black entrepreneurs have done in this country over the years.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Fred, thank you. I mean, when I say that, because that's what I see. It's like, we have to build this legacy and talk about the ownership of the business and building the enterprise, which is why I love that the council calls you a minority business enterprise.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that term. Seriously, I appreciate that term because I was fortunate enough to, as I said, talk to the mayor. We had the former mayor. Is that we have to figure out a way to designate businesses. And so one of the things that I've asked from my own government officials, that in Chicago, there be micro business, small business, enterprise, and mid-level, because there's a part where as you accelerate and advance, you can't be in the same room. And nothing against it, but you've advanced. So you're not going to go in that same room just like a singer is hanging out with a president. So that is important that we do that. And I say that enterprise is such a word that I wish to use more because I do think it helps shape your mind of outliving, the business outliving you as an entrepreneur. And so, Vince, if you can share around the council, around that point of ownership, because one thing I do know about councils is there's a lot of businesses that are still working and the owner isn't even part of it, isn't even part of the business. But we don't see enough of that. That's the word I want to say. Not enough, Vince.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for bringing this up, because I think one of the things that's outstanding to incorporate with the council, and this can be something that I think goes across all businesses, is creating these type of succession plan for the business. I come from a generation, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. We owned a skating rink growing up. I have an aunt that has a barbecue sauce line. I have others that are in real estate and things like that. And of course, what I've learned through the years and by interacting with them at family events and things is that each of them are passionate about their respective business, right? And they're doing it so that they can provide, a better life, if you will, for their nuclear family, ultimately our family. So, I'll admit, when, you're looking to purchase your first home, you go to those family members that were a lot more successful and say, hey, here's my business idea, or here's what's happening. I'd love to be able to borrow something. That's, again, I think, how we build what's generational wealth. What I have uncovered after being consultant and advising a lot of business owners here in Chicago is that I found that, for example, that one business owner who was so passionate about opening up that daycare center, their family did not have that same passion or that same drive, right? So what that means is that when that original owner got old enough to say, hey, I want to pass this and leave this on to you, the kids, the next generation was like, no, we're good. I want to go do something else. I don't want to be involved in that business. Well, what I'm hoping to and identify at the council are additional business owners that they want to acquire, that additional minority business owners that want to acquire that business. So it doesn't need to leave the minority community, right? It may leave their immediate family, but they didn't want it anyway, right? It doesn't mean that. I teach a class on entrepreneurship. I love that you brought that up, and Dr. Fred, you brought it up too. I actually named it master plan because you got to think of a master plan, right? And I always incorporate, and I start the course out with saying, hey, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's critical across all types of businesses, ideas, and the whole gamut there. But what I think that's happening now is because you've created an enterprise, your business, the services that you offer, you're not just that entrepreneur, but as we all know, it can be a lonely world too, right? We're not going to necessarily get the support of our family or our friends or our spouses, anyone there that says, hey, I will buy this product or service from you. They're still accustomed to going to someone else there. Well, now you have a system, an ecosystem of supporters, of advocates, of those that'll say, I want to use your service. And I know you're good. And I'm also going to refer your service because I know that you're going to give that same strong quality work ethic and deliver just as I would in this business too. And so that's where we as enterprises within the council, nationally, the other affiliates, that's what we're able to do. And that's what I want the major buying community to realize, that we're there for that. We're not just going to be your fly-by-night, enterprise organization. I'm selling something out of the trunk of my car, but I do want to help that person that has that side hustle scale to where they have that brick and mortar.
And we bring up scale. So if there's any questions, for any one of them guys, questions right now. Sometimes we have enough time, sometimes we don't. But if you have a question, please ask. The thing that is scale, and the word for me when I said scale, for me was about hire, right? It's allowing me to hire someone that can, or at least more than one person to do a job so that I can continue to do what it is that I'm good at, right? Because a lot of times we're doing 50 different things, but we're not really that good at all those 50 things. So, representing, and Dr. Fred, and I like that he worked this for me because I want people to understand this, because I do think that this is an important statement of my question for this. Black firms employ a large percentage of Black workers than non-Black firms. The total number of workers employed by Black firms is about 1 million, while a big number more Black Americans work in non-Black firms compared to Black firms. And so that, for me, Dr. Fred, helping you give me more context around that, it was sad a little bit. Like, I was just like, wow. So as we plus up, will we ever catch up to that? Will we?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the challenge. And I'll tell you what success looks like. Success looks like Black firms capturing a greater portion of that $1.5 trillion in Black spending. And one of the challenges that we face in our community is the money comes in to our community, into Black households, and it goes right back out without touching Black business. And we have to be conscious about that in our own behavior. It's not saying you should boycott Walmart. It's impossible.
Right.
But you need to spend some money in the Black community. You have to make a point of it.
Yes.
Now, it's easier to do that in some locations. It's easier to do that in other locations. But that's what we have to do.
Yeah. And being intentional about it. I'm intentional, and I'm not apologetic that I hire Black women, women of color in that industry, because I know that they don't have that opportunity per se at that level. So it is being very intentional and hoping that the Black staff will value that level of, experience, so that if they do go work for that white firm, they will have had some of that Black background. So, Dr. Fred, thank you. Anything you want to add to, Vince, around that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to mention that there's this great client that I work with, and we just did a nice, huge launch. And the name of the website is www.shopblack.io. Again, shopblack.io. And this is an organization, a young brother that I would love to introduce to everyone as, again, a resource to identify other Black businesses. You can add your business on there. If you're a business that works out of the home, you're able to work conjunctly with brick and mortars and have drop ships and situations like that. As we get back to uncovering ways to support more Black businesses, more minority businesses, more small businesses, I think we need these opportunities. And I love too, Dr. Fred, that you mentioned that dollar amount that we can bring back to the community, and how before in Black Wall Street, it stayed in the community, sometimes for months. That's not experienced now. Open up an account with a Black bank. Get back into the neighborhood. I mean, there's ways that we can support, and we can rebuild and retool and reset, right? everything that we're talking about now. We just got to do it.
And I think that's it. I mean, we just have to do it. And as we close, I just, want to say thank you both for just sharing your expert advice. I want to make sure that everybody knows how to, obviously find you, Vince, and be able to connect with you here locally in Chicago. But I'm going to emphasize that the council, and I'm saying this for me, Vince, I didn't know about St. Louis. I didn't know about North. That's what happens when you research, right? That's what happens when you research. So I was able to find, I was like, oh, okay. So
I got you. I got you.
So please, if you want to learn about the part, feel free to reach out to them on their channels. Vince is amazing. I think the difference that I will say that I appreciate is that we now have a leader that has walked the path with us. I'm not going to speak of anyone else because I don't know enough, but you've walked the path with us. And so you can advocate that way. That's just what I believe. You're a better advocate.
Fred, you're my new mentor. All right. I'm reaching out later on.
I'm here for you, brother.
And Fred, I just want to say to you, keep just doing what you do, because for most people don't know. I mean, Dr. Fred is like a history. I mean, like he'll give you the history on everything, and I love it. I will say he helped me to appreciate history a little bit more. When I was at Tuck, I really got a chance to do that. So thank you guys for being here, to be able to share your expert advice, your path, to be able to let minorities and Black entrepreneurs understand that this is a good time to reset and pivot right now to build their businesses. Thank you both. I appreciate you both. I will continue to stay connected with you all. As I say all the time, is I love what I do. And whenever I get to bring people that I do know to the table, it does bring me joy. So for those who have been following me, again, my name is Larvetta Lofton. What I will say that I said earlier, if you missed out, is that we have taken on an opportunity to help local Black businesses to scale up, to level up. And so if you go to our website, you can find out information. It's called the Stand Out and Level Up campaign. We're selecting 3 businesses, and we're going to help you build that landing page so that you can acquire new customers or build your online presence, whatever that may be. We're here to serve and to support you. So thank you for tuning in with us. We appreciate you. Please, please subscribe to the channel where you can get more episodes about what we're doing. We promise not to give you, but really good content. Next week, we'll be back around food and culture. So please feel free to come back if you want to talk about how the food business is pivoting. So thank you all, and have a wonderful holiday weekend. Be safe, be healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you.
I got it.